Good morning, everyone. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I now resume the 15th already, yes, meeting of the 68th session of the Commission on the Status of Women. And not to waste any time, I'm pleased to welcome you to this interactive dialogue on the focus emerging issue, which this year is on artificial intelligence to advance gender equality, challenges and opportunities. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, let me first extend my sincere thanks to our distinguished panelists here, as well as to all of you who are here in the room and who are joining us online. While we are sitting in the room today, women and girls are facing an unprecedented set of overlapping threats and challenges, including higher poverty rates, the climate crisis and conflicts, all have dramatically reversed the course of progress on gender equality. At the same time, emerging technologies and artificial intelligence in particular are one of the seismic shifts that will continue to shape the 21st century, with the potential to deeply impact all economic, social, and political areas, as well as the environment, peace, and security. Despite its potential benefits for gender equality, the current AI architecture benefits and risks are not equally distributed, and women and girls tend to be left behind as a result of this new form of inequality. AI can also be used to deeply harm women and girls who may be victims of exploitation and technology-facilitated violence, among others. With negotiations underway for the Global Digital Compact, it is important that we explore the challenges and opportunities of AI and how this technology can be harnessed to benefit women and girls so that may enjoy equal opportunities and rights, have the skills to participate in its design and development, and shape the values and principles that should be underpinning AI's safe and equitable use. Our task this morning is to assess the lessons learned and the good practices in this area. The dialogue brings together diverse experts on AI who play roles in this area. Together with all of you, we will examine the opportunities that AI presents for gender equality and how to overcome the challenges related to AI. This conversation builds on the last year's CSW priority theme, which was on innovation and technological change and education in the digital age. The outcome of this panel will be a chair summary that should include steps and measures that can be taken by different stakeholders to ensure that AI can contribute to gender equality and empowerment of women and girls. I look forward to hearing many inspiring examples and success stories today and encourage you to make clear recommendations for key actions that can be taken to strengthen policies and programs. I'm now pleased to welcome our distinguished panelists of this morning, Ms. Ivana Bortoletti, Global Chief Privacy and Artificial Intelligence Governance Officer at Wipro, Ms. Estella Aranya, researcher at the Center for the Study of Law, Internet and Society, and member of the Secretary General High-Level Advisory Body on Artificial Intelligence, who is joining us virtually today, Ms. Ivana Feldfeber, Executive Director of DataGénero, and Ms. Paola Ricorte Quijano, Associate Professor at the Department of Media and Digital Culture at the Monterrey Institute of Technology, and Ms. Irene Barkan, a researcher at the Institute of Legal Science, Faculty of Law at the University of Latvia, who is joining us virtually as well. I first invite Ms. Ivana Bortoletti to make a presentation. Ivana is an internationally recognized thought leader in the field of privacy, data protection, and responsible technology. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, and it's a great honor to be with you today. I want to talk to you about privacy, and it relates to women and the role of artificial intelligence, privacy, women, and AI. Privacy has always been a double-edged sword for women. Its definition is rooted in the private-public dichotomy, which has traditionally, historically overlapped with the gender divide, with men occupying the public space and women relegated to the private sphere of the home. However, women have long questioned and are successfully dismantling this private-public boundary. For women, private is not always good. Think of the long battles to get domestic abuse recognized as a crime, and think of other battles still ongoing around our reproductive rights, around menopause and childcare. In a sense, private areas, and yet areas that cry out for strong public policy. Debating and redefining the boundary between private and public does not mean that we abandon the protection of the individual. Quite the opposite. Why? Technology, and more precisely, the ubiquity of data collection. Personal data is now collected at almost every moment of our life, whether we are working in our free time, shopping, browsing, or traveling. The availability of data, plus a staggering increase in computational power in a few short years, have unleashed what we call the fourth industrial revolution, fueled by artificial intelligence. And while AI has brought us many benefits, such as increased productivity and personalized healthcare, it has also too often compounded existing injuries to women, including inequalities, exclusion, and bias. Women are often more vulnerable to privacy violations, particularly those who are already marginalized. Think about the technology-enabled controls wrapped around those seeking benefits, facial recognition technology, and increased surveillance disproportionately targeting certain areas and communities. The digital divide worsens exclusion. Any talk of AI as some sort of magical or miracle solution fails to consider the reality of gender inequality. We must never stop caring that AI risks perpetuating biases and encoding existing inequalities in new systems. For example, lenders have been caught out offering less credit to women customers thanks to an uncritical use of algorithms. Large number of immigrants who were eligible for benefits were crucially denied them because of thoughtless, improperly monitored use of algorithmic decision-making. When we take something dusty data and feed this data into machines that churn out decisions and predictions, we must never forget that data is not neutral. Data reflects back a picture of our society with all the inequalities and all the injustice that we know of. UNESCO, in a recent report, made plain how large language models, LLMs, and generative AI reinforce inequality and sexism. As we embrace the enormous potential of AI and nail down some sensible norms and governance around it, it is essential that women are at the forefront of that discussion. We must foster a stronger link between privacy and equality. Privacy is a great collective value. One does not need to have experienced an abortion personally to have care for the privacy of those who have and to support those who are seeking one. This is why location data, the data that identifies where a person is, must be treated as very sensitive information. This information that has been used to track women whose reproductive rights services in order to punish them. Data is not just numbers. Data is people. Data is women. Data is not ours. It's us. Of course, data needs collecting. Of course, we cannot identify or solve the great problems of the world today without data. But we must move towards new forms of engaging with and managing our data. And I want to say this clearly. This means to rethink consent, real consent, as women know it. Consent cannot mean smothering us with incomprehensible, opaque privacy notices. Consent cannot mean hazing us with endless scrolls of tiny, tricksy tick boxes when you're not sure what means on and what means off, what means yes and what means no. That model of consent is simply a one-way transaction, far from the meaningful consent that we should exercise. Last but not least, when we look at global governance of AI, we need to take into considerations the lived experiences of women for whom data collection by the state is even more worrying than data collection by private actors. While there is no monolithic women's movement, there is a unity in our shared commitment to defeating inequality, to ensure that AI helps us defeat inequality instead of coding it into software. We women must be at the driving seat. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivana, for sharing the main impacts of AI on the gender equality and the lives of women and girls. I next invite Ms. Estela Aranya, who is joining us virtually, to make her presentation. Estela works on digital rights policy, including regulations and policies to protect rights in the digital space. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you for inviting me to address at this session today. I was in charge of talk about the barriers to representation and participation of humans in the development of AI and in decision-making. Firstly, I would like to highlight that the entire event was about issues related to the representation of humans in public policies and decision-making spaces. But when we talk about AI, these issues, if not addressed, can exacerbate because there are several challenges associated with using algorithms from a perspective of equality and non-discrimination. Done carelessly, data mining can reproduce existing patterns of discrimination, inherent in the biases of previous decision makers, and simply reflect widespread biases that persist in society. It may even have the preserved effect of exacerbating existing inequalities. Some uses of probability and statistics can reproduce and reinforce inequalities, contributing to the creation of cumulative disadvantaging within society, with particular impacts on protected groups from mutually reinforcing and limiting system. Another important issue raised by these systems is also meritocratic rationality, or so-called equality of opportunity, when it classifies people in terms of socially relevant traits that are taken as good or proxies for goods in themselves by supposedly neutral distribution mechanism. Thus, in addition to eliminate of careful examining the use of stigmatizing characteristics, it is important for any automated decision-making process to allow for the assessment of inequalities. The meritocratic rationality of this system without intervention prevents compensatory measures. It's also necessary to discuss when and how we should use predictive technologies and to actually challenge how risk is understood and distributed in policy making. This is why equitable participation is paramount, not only in public decision-making bodies, but through all the chain. Economic and market forces are strongly influencing the design and the use of emerging digital technologies. One example is the future of the work. I use to my account not to generalize my individual experience, but to illustrate the general experience found in various studies and documents. In Brazil, as a National Secretary of Digital Rights, I participated in a negotiation table on the proposed legislation on platform works, the APPs. This is certainly the basis for all the regulation of work mediated by applications, the use of algorithmic work management. At the tripartite negotiation table, multi-stakeholder one, which was for the driver and delivery sector, there were practically no human representing the works. These are not sectors with predominantly female workforce for various reasons. Human participation in the private sector was also really low. In the government, they were a little more represented in this formulation and in the table, but they did not participate in decision-making power of that proposal. Although the discussion formed the basis for legislation on the future of work and social security for this category of works, there was no gender inequality in the labor market. For example, the impact of algorithmic work assessment with all the problem of bias it can have in a work that is not socially seen as actively for female workforce. Without addressing these issues, historical trends will be perpetuated. Ideal candidates are expected to, for profession with gender bias, exemplify stereotypically masculine or feminine qualities and skills. Or that this type of legislation will certainly be extended by the APP applications to the other sectors of work, such as the care sector, which is predominantly female. It's not just a problem from Brazil. Europe has just approved its rules on work conditions in platform work, which do not address a gender perspective. Some important issue we would like to highlight about AI in a gender perspective. The women lack internet connectivity and the digital literacy. Part of this duo, the human's lack of education, are cultural social norms that lead to the exclusion of the human from the digital world. The human in AI. Very few women participate in AI-related jobs worldwide. This is a challenge for the future trajectory and development of AI systems. In the fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, data show that the proportion of human credit in scientific publication in the Scopus database is less than 20%. Another one, gender stereotypes. They replicate in technological systems, pose a pernicious challenge in reinforcing these inequalities in work and care, as they articulate outdated visions in a high-tech vernacular. Algorithmic transparency. The lack of transparency is the function and outcomes of AI system poses a challenge to understand algorithmic bias and building discrimination. That's all, and thank you for your attention and as for including us in this important event.
Thank you, Estela, for for your presentation and explaining to us the barriers to women's representation and participation in the AI development processes. And now I invite Ms. Ivana Feldfeber to make her presentation. Ivana does research on AI tools for criminal courts, working with gender-based violence data in Argentina and Mexico. The floor is yours.
Hola a todos. Me siento muy honrada de haber sido invitada a este panel tan necesario para hablar de mi experiencia trabajando en la intersección de estos tres temas: inteligencia artificial, violencia de género y justicia. Cuando enumero estos tres temas juntos, la gente suele pensar en una IA que predice la culpabilidad o que predice si alguien va a ser violento. Pues bien, eso es lo contrario de lo que pensamos que debería ser una IA. Soy cofundadora de DataGénero, una organización latinoamericana que trabaja por un futuro de datos con perspectiva de género y sensible a las desigualdades sociales. Con apoyo de la red de inteligencia artificial feminista FAIR, creamos un software basado en IA para ayudar a abordar un gran problema en América Latina: la falta de datos sobre violencia de género. El problema de la falta de datos de género es algo que debería preocuparnos a todos, todas y todes. Cuando creamos la organización en 2020, queríamos utilizar los datos disponibles para obtener información sobre las desigualdades de género en nuestra sociedad. Lo que no sabíamos era que faltaban muchos más datos sobre el ODS número 5 de lo que pensábamos. Aunque esto no es algo nuevo y hay organizaciones como Data2X que han estado abogando por más y mejores datos de género, el estado de los datos abiertos de América Latina y específicamente en Argentina es preocupante. En el caso de los datos de violencia de género, hay muchas cuestiones a tener en cuenta. La violencia de género sucede en diferentes lugares: en la intimidad del hogar, en la escuela, en los hospitales, en el trabajo o en la calle. Muchas veces las mujeres cis, personas trans, no binarias y queer que la sufren no acuden a la policía porque muchas veces ésta no les cree. Cuando la víctima está dispuesta a ir a denunciar, efectivamente son escuchadas, se crea una investigación que en algunos casos va a juicio. Y esos son los datos de los cuales podemos extraer información. Son los datos que existen sobre violencia de género en el Poder Judicial. Una pequeña fracción de todo el panorama completo. Así que podríamos decir que en el juego de los datos vamos varios casilleros atrasadas en América Latina y Argentina en particular. Y aquí es donde entra el juego la IA. Estamos convencidas de que la IA puede ser una herramienta útil para recopilar algunos de los datos de género que faltan. Y según nuestra experiencia, esta herramienta debe ser siempre antisolucionista y semi-automatizada. Para mí es importante dejar en claro que no creemos que la IA pueda resolver los problemas de la sociedad. Los problemas humanos requieren soluciones humanas. La IA puede ser una parte del sistema diseñado para abordar un problema, por ejemplo, la violencia de género, pero no puede serlo todo. No resolverá problemas tan complejos e intricados como la pobreza, el hambre, la violencia o las guerras. La segunda palabra que he utilizado es semi-automatizada. Es semi-automatizada y no totalmente automatizada porque necesitamos humanos que verifiquen y validen todo lo que la IA detecta o predice, en especial cuando trabajamos con datos tan sensibles como son los datos del Poder Judicial. Nuestro software basado en IA se llama Imurai, que en lengua quechua significa cosecha. Así que lo que hace nuestra IA es cosechar datos sobre violencia de género. Lee, procesa y detecta información de sentencias de juzgados sobre violencia de género y crea conjuntos de datos. También anonimiza los documentos para poder subirlos a la web sin poner en riesgo la privacidad de las personas. Trabajando con esta información tan delicada, se pueden imaginar por qué hace falta siempre que haya humanos verificando los resultados de la IA. Hasta el momento, este software se está implementando en el juzgado número 10 de la Ciudad de Buenos Aires y esperamos expandir esta experiencia a varias ciudades y países más. Pero para ser claras de lo que la IA puede o no puede hacer en relación con el género y la sociedad en general, nuestra IA no está decidiendo si un juez o jueza debe enviar a alguien a la cárcel por golpear a una mujer cis, persona trans, no binaria, queer. Tampoco queremos que una IA prediga si alguien va a ser violento o si va a cometer un delito grave en el futuro. Estamos en contra de los sistemas que deciden si alguien debe obtener la libertad condicional o no, y yo sé que muchos países están implementando este tipo de sistemas basados en IA. Esto es muy problemático porque el sesgo dentro de estos sistemas solo refleja las desigualdades de poder sobre las que se construyeron nuestras sociedades. El racismo, el sexismo, el capacitismo, todos ellos están integrados en los datos que utilizamos para entrenar los algoritmos. Y lo difícil es que estos prejuicios no se pueden eliminar fácilmente. Forman parte de los datos como forman parte de nuestra sociedad. La investigadora argentina Milagros Miseli dice que llamar a estas desigualdades con el término sesgo es un término técnico y puede traer la ilusión de que se puede arreglar este sesgo, que tal vez si reescribimos el código o añadimos más métodos a nuestro algoritmo, este sesgo se va a erradicar. Pero por supuesto, detrás de estos algoritmos hay personas, equipos y empresas, y ninguno de ellos es objetivo ni está libre de sesgos. Así que creo que el objetivo de quienes trabajamos con la IA y con género es hacer visibles estos sesgos, exponerlos, denunciarlos y trabajar con ellos. También nuestro objetivo es mostrar otros modelos, otras formas de desarrollar IA. ¿Por qué les estoy contando este proceso de construcción de inteligencia artificial por parte de una organización feminista de datos? Porque necesitamos una forma diferente de crear y relacionarnos con la tecnología. Durante el proceso de desarrollo de IA con perspectiva feminista que llevamos a cabo, nos encontramos con muchos retos y tuvimos que tomar muchas decisiones para mantener estándares éticos, seguros y sensibles al género. También tuvimos algunas restricciones. No podríamos utilizar un servidor en la nube para entrenar y utilizar el algoritmo porque priorizamos proteger la privacidad de las personas. Fue todo entrenado localmente. Tuvimos que crear un conjunto de datos falso para etiquetar los datos con etiquetadores externos y luego entrenar el modelo con esos datos. A estos etiquetadores les pagamos una muy buena tarifa por su trabajo, al contrario de lo que pagan las grandes empresas. Y también les pagamos un extra, ya que tiene un costo mental y emocional muy grande leer y etiquetar datos sobre violencia de género. Para finalizar, quiero aclarar que nuestro modelo no es el más grande y no tiene una precisión del 100%. Estamos en contra de esta carrera de las grandes corporaciones tecnológicas por ver quién tiene el modelo más grande. Creo que este tipo de lógica para crear tecnología ha empujado a nuestra sociedad a ser rehén de los nuevos desarrollos, corriendo detrás de la pelota en lugar de poseerla. Solo quiero terminar agradeciendo a todas las personas que hicieron esto posible y que lo hacen hoy en día, al juzgado número 10, Yasmín, Pablo, Carolina, Antonella, al equipo de DataGénero, Mailén, Carolina, Yasmín, Sofía y Marianela, y a todo el equipo que está de analista, y a la comunidad que nos apoya. Gracias a todos por su atención y compromiso por cambiar el mundo.
Thank you very much, Ivana, for sharing the importance of addressing gender-biased data sets. I now invite Paola to make her presentation. Paola will speak about the growth of artificial intelligence, its potential to create new ways of working, but also the existing inequalities and stereotypes.
Buenos días. Agradezco enormemente la invitación a participar en este panel y que se haya abierto este espacio de conversación sobre inteligencia artificial, que es un tema que debe estar en el centro de las discusiones sobre igualdad y justicia. Reconozco el enorme privilegio que significa estar aquí, pero también reconozco que son tiempos difíciles para nosotras las mujeres y las niñas, sobre todo para hablarle al poder. Para responder a la pregunta sobre las oportunidades y los desafíos laborales que presenta la inteligencia artificial, quisiera comenzar por ir hacia atrás en la historia y recordar por qué estamos hoy aquí honrando la lucha de las mujeres. En 1957, en esta ciudad, mujeres que trabajaban en la industria textil, conocidas como garment workers, se organizaron para protestar por salarios más justos y condiciones laborales más dignas. Sin embargo, al manifestarse, fueron detenidas. 2 años más tarde, estas trabajadoras crearon su primer sindicato para luchar por sus derechos. 51 años después, volvieron a salir para exigir un aumento de sueldo, menos horas de trabajo, derecho al voto y prohibición del trabajo infantil. En marzo de 1911 se celebró por primera vez el Día Internacional de la Mujer Trabajadora. Pero el 25 de marzo de ese mismo año, no muy lejos de aquí, 129 mujeres y niñas trabajadoras textiles murieron debido a un incendio del edificio donde trabajaban porque su empleador las tenía encerradas y no pudieron salvarse. La mayor tenía 43 años y las más jóvenes 14. La mayoría de ellas eran inmigrantes. Este trágico episodio histórico llevó a una mejora de las condiciones laborales y también impulsó al movimiento feminista a seguir exigiendo acceso a derechos. Las luchas de las mujeres nos han llevado a comprender que la violencia sistémica y estructural impide que las mujeres y las niñas alcancen una vida digna. ¿Qué papel juega entonces la inteligencia artificial en reproducir estas violencias? La historia nos ha mostrado que el avance de la industrialización y el desarrollo tecnológico ha representado un desafío para avanzar en los derechos de las mujeres y niñas. Y hoy la inteligencia artificial está habilitando la automatización de la violencia a escala. Por eso es importante entender qué asimetrías de poder están integradas en esta tecnología. Haciendo un fast forward hasta hoy, gracias a estas tecnologías tenemos nuevas formas de trabajar que hace pocos años parecían impensables. Pero tener nuevas formas de trabajo y más herramientas tecnológicas no significa necesariamente que estemos consiguiendo más derechos y una mejor calidad de vida. Los costes del desarrollo tecnológico lo están pagando las mujeres y las niñas con sus vidas, su salud, sus cuerpos y territorios ocupados y violentados. Las garment workers de la economía digital de hoy siguen siendo mujeres precarizadas, inmigrantes o mujeres de distintas partes del mundo que trabajan en fábricas de ensamblajes de chips o de dispositivos, en warehouses o de manera remota etiquetando datos, curando contenidos, trabajando más horas de las que tendría una jornada laboral usual, con salarios de miseria, sin derechos ni condiciones laborales dignas. Hoy, en algunos países, siguen encerrando a las mujeres en lugares de trabajo. Pero para las trabajadoras de la economía digital, ese encierro es un control algorítmico de sus cuerpos. Están sujetas a que los jefes de las fábricas digitales las encierren sin poder salir de la precariedad, que determinen quitarles sus empleos en cualquier momento, que no puedan saber para quién trabajan o con quién trabajan. A diferencia de los movimientos sociales de las mujeres trabajadoras de otras épocas de la historia, estas trabajadoras son una fuerza laboral que se encuentra dispersa alrededor del mundo, que no pueden encontrarse físicamente, que son anónimas y eso dificulta que puedan organizarse políticamente. Mucho del trabajo que hacen es invisible, pasan tiempo tratando de escoger las mejores microtareas que les permitan ganar unos centavos más. Trabajan en horarios que les permitan además cumplir con las tareas del cuidado del hogar. Las condiciones precarias, políticas y económicas en nuestros contextos sociales desiguales, las obligan a ser trabajadoras de esta industria. Son las trabajadoras idóneas para esta industria. Estas mujeres son las que están con su trabajo sosteniendo la economía digital. Podría contarles la historia de Mari, que trabaja en una maquila electrónica en Jalisco, parada 8 horas ensamblando tarjetas madre, inhalando gases tóxicos y viviendo cerca de los ríos contaminados por los desechos que producen estas industrias. O sobre Patricia, que en Chile peleó para que Google no instalara un centro de datos en su comunidad que iba a consumir en un día el agua que todos consumirían en un mes. O sobre Angie, que por las condiciones precarias en su país, Venezuela, tuvo que trabajar en las plataformas de crowdsourcing haciendo trabajos que la denigraban porque era su único medio de subsistencia. Mientras los países industrializados están desarrollando estrategias para reskilling o upskilling de su fuerza laboral, frente al uso masivo de inteligencia artificial, en los países del mundo mayoritario, los gobiernos, frente al lobby corporativo, suelen estar subordinados a los intereses de las empresas tecnológicas para garantizar que no se aprueben leyes laborales justas y que continuemos siendo mano de obra barata para la industria de la inteligencia artificial. En la división del trabajo global, tienen que garantizar que los países del mundo mayoritario sigamos ocupando nuestro lugar ofreciendo los recursos naturales, la fuerza de trabajo y los datos para la industria de la inteligencia artificial de los países que la producen. Necesitamos hoy más que nunca que los gobiernos obliguen a las empresas tecnológicas a reconocer el trabajo humano que alimenta la inteligencia artificial, que actualmente es tercerizado en empresas de outsourcing para desligarse de responsabilidades, empresas transnacionales que operan en el mundo mayoritario y que deben garantizar condiciones dignas que permitan a las mujeres que no paguen el coste del desarrollo tecnológico, para que otras personas puedan usar esas tecnologías. Para cerrar, solamente quisiera decir que existen muchas iniciativas en el mundo mayoritario, muchas iniciativas que nos han permitido que las mujeres participen en el desarrollo tecnológico, no como fuerza laboral, ni tampoco como proveedoras de datos, sino como participantes y desarrolladoras activas de las tecnologías que necesitan. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much, Paola. And now I invite Irene to make her presentation. Irene will speak on the safeguards and legislations necessary to ensure that AI and its makers and users respect the rights of women and girls. Irene, the floor is yours. Irene will be joining us virtually. We'll wait to connect. Irene, are you with us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we do. Please go Ahead.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great pleasure to participate today in this interactive dialogue on the impact of artificial intelligence on gender equality, although I would love to be together with you at the United Nations beautiful building. Artificial intelligence is being adopted across industries at an unprecedented pace. And alongside its many benefits, AI also presents serious risks to society, making the adoption and implementation of AI regulation a global imperative. The UNESCO recommendation on the ethics of AI, which is the first global standard-setting instrument adopted in 2021, has a strong emphasis on gender equality, stressing that member states should ensure that gender stereotyping and discriminatory biases are not translated into AI systems. A new UNESCO report sheds light on the pervasive issue of gender bias in AI systems. The report scrutinizes some of the most advanced AI language models, revealing that these systems often perpetuate and even amplify human structural and social biases. Governments and policy makers play a pivotal role in addressing this pressing concern and ensuring that trustworthy use of AI systems. In this regard, introducing legally binding AI legal frameworks which are grounded in international human rights standards and norms and adopt a human rights based approach is of paramount importance. And that's exactly what the two landmark European AI regulations aim for. Last week, the European Parliament adopted the Artificial Intelligence Act, the first comprehensive AI legal framework poised to play a crucial role in the global debate on AI regulation. It aims to protect fundamental rights while promoting the uptake of human-centric and trustworthy AI and boosting innovation. The AI Act classifies AI systems based on its potential risks and adverse impacts caused on the fundamental rights and European values. It prohibits certain unacceptable AI practices, lays down requirements for high-risk AI systems and obligations for the relevant operators and transparency obligations for certain AI systems. The AI Act requires to assess the impact of AI systems on fundamental rights, including non-discrimination and gender equality, and to ensure that they are respected by introducing new mandatory requirements for all high-risk AI systems. These high-risk systems will also need to be trained and tested with sufficiently representative data sets to minimize the risk of unfair biases and embedded in the model and ensure that these can be addressed through appropriate bias detection, correction, and other mitigation measures. AI systems must also be traceable and auditable, ensuring that appropriate documentation is kept, including of the data used to train the algorithm. That would be important in ex-post investigations. AI systems must be technically robust, and compliance systems will have to ensure that these systems are regularly monitored and potential risks are promptly addressed. Besides the newly adopted AI Act, last week a provisional agreement was found on the Council of Europe Convention on AI, Fundamental Rights, Democracy and the Rule of Law, which will be the first international binding treaty on AI. The AI Convention will require member states to adopt measures to ensure that activities related to the life cycle of AI systems respect gender equality, as well as introduce measures aimed at overcoming inequalities to achieve fair, just, and equitable outcomes. While these both landmark AI legal frameworks are poised to play a crucial role for protecting human rights in AI development and deployment, including in promoting gender equality, there is a very long and complicated road ahead to make these provisions effective in practice. And it all involves not only effective enforcement mechanisms, but also fostering a culture of responsibility, inclusivity, and equality among AI developers and users. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm very much looking forward to our further discussion.
Thank you very much, Irene, for explaining the legal aspects of AI. And indeed, we are moving into the discussion part of it, because now we will open the floor for any comments and questions that you might have. Participants are invited to press the button to indicate their request to intervene. I would remind delegations to please keep within the 3-minute time limit, and I also would like to remind participants that the interactive dialogue is an opportunity to make comments and pose questions to the panelists here. I would request that the interventions be brief and concise, and that any questions to the presenters be made at the start, as the microphones will be automatically muted when the speaking time has elapsed. Also, in order to encourage multi-stakeholder discussion in this room, I will invite civil society organizations to take floor among the member states. And we will start the discussion with Philippines. The floor is yours.
Chair, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Artificial intelligence is rapidly transforming society, simultaneously allowing for unprecedented advances to improve social and economic outcomes for women and girls, but also giving rise to profound new challenges that may deepen existing patterns of gender inequality. Acknowledging this paradox, the Philippines is proactively taking steps to overcome the gender digital divide and ensure women and girls gain access to these transformative technologies, while also safeguarding them from potential harm caused by AI. On education and upskilling, we have initiated several projects that train women in AI, data science, analytics, and related fields through online learning. Particularly, we implemented the Girls in ICT and Digital Innovation for Women Advancement projects, and partnered with Connected Women for the Elevate Artificial Intelligence and Data Analytics project. As part of our efforts to mobilize resources for women and girls in AI, the Philippines also supports AI research and development projects through grants with gender sensitivity and inclusivity as part of the criteria for approval. In 2021, we launched our National Artificial Intelligence Roadmap, which aims to accelerate the adoption and utilization of AI in the country to advance industrial development, foster entrepreneurship, and generate higher paying opportunities for Filipinos. Although the first version did not reflect gender considerations, we are working towards gender mainstreaming in our AI policies by forming an AI advisory board to refine this roadmap. 2 members of this board are women to ensure balanced perspectives on our priorities. To safeguard women and girls from harm caused by AI, the Philippines has also enacted several laws, including the Magna Carta for Women, Anti-Violence Against Women and Children Act, Safe Spaces Act, Anti-Online Sexual Abuse or Exploitation of Children, and Anti-Child Sexual Abuse or Exploitation Materials Act, among others. While there are significant challenges to overcome, AI presents numerous opportunities for advancing gender equality when developed and deployed thoughtfully, ethically, and inclusively. It requires collaboration among diverse stakeholders, including policymakers, technologists, researchers, and civil society organizations to harness the full potential of AI for promoting gender equality. The Philippines remains committed to leveraging technology to promote gender equality while also safeguarding women's and children's rights. Thank you.
Thank you, Philippines. And I now give the floor to Israel. The floor is yours.
Honorable Chair, Israel is among the world's leaders in artificial intelligence, ranked 7th overall and 2nd in per capita terms, a testament to its strong focus on research and development as well as innovation. Innovation is a cornerstone of Israel's economy and society, reflecting a persistent drive to explore new frontiers. The key role of AI within Israeli innovation ecosystems is reflected in the 2,200 Israeli AI-based companies leading in diverse sectors such as healthcare, energy, food, and agriculture. We are at the heart of a technological revolution in which the integration of artificial intelligence leads to structural changes in a wide range of industries. It is time to harness and leverage these processes to create equal opportunities. For example, in Israel, fields such as life sciences, biology, and chemistry are currently dominated in terms of number of doctoral graduates by women. Now, as industries such as food tech, agri-tech, and health tech undergo a revolution, there is an opportunity to increase the number of female entrepreneurs, those involved in R&D, and particularly the number of experts in artificial intelligence. There is a critical shortage of experts in artificial intelligence in the world. This shortage can be addressed by increasing the relative proportion of women in the field. Concerns about the possibility of bias and discrimination arising from the use of artificial intelligence algorithms are at the center of global discourse. This leads to the search and examination of technological, normative, and regulatory solutions. Hence, there is once again a chance to narrow the gaps within societies. By consciously designing AI systems with fairness, inclusivity, and diversity in mind, we can ensure that they contribute to a more equitable society. Promoting education and training programs that encourage women to pursue careers in AI and related fields will empower them to actively participate in shaping the future of technology. By leveraging the potential of artificial intelligence in a responsible and inclusive manner, we can work towards a future where gender equality is not just a goal, but a reality. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Israel. And now I give the floor to equality now.
Honorable Chair, members, and distinguished guests, I am Amanda Manyame, a digital law and rights advisor at Equality Now. Equality Now is an international human rights organization and co-founder of the Alliance for Universal Digital Rights. We are dedicated to ensuring a safe, secure, and free world for all women and girls, both online and offline. Many countries around the world are equipping themselves with rights-based, self-regulatory, or other instruments to govern AI. The reality, though, is that the complex nature of AI cannot be dealt with solely through traditional regulatory nor state-by-state solutions. It needs global cooperation and governance. As governments and other stakeholders consider new digital governance frameworks, such as the Global Digital Compact, we urge them to remember that AI risk and harms to women and girls are not limited to technologies that use AI only. They are perpetuated and replicated across all technologies. Any proposed laws or protections should also aim to address the root causes of discrimination and ensure equality. This includes protecting women from systemic inequality, discrimination, and misogyny that perpetuates their subordination everywhere in society and is amplified by AI. To mainstream gender equality and transform the current AI ecosystem and its power asymmetries, serious consideration needs to be had for feminist AI governance, which aims to address power imbalances in the AI ecosystem using a framework that considers structural inequalities, colonial legacies, and the multidimensional harms that disproportionately affect women and communities of the global majority. Addressing inequality in AI ecosystems systemically and structurally, following a feminist-informed, human rights-based framework, requires, 1, critically examining how we ensure that the discrimination and biases in our society are not mimicked, replicated, exaggerated, and amplified in the design, deployment, and use of AI. 2, critically examining the existence of sufficient systems in societies to ensure accountability and reparation when damage is caused by the use of AI. And 3, adoption of equality by design principles and a human rights-based approach throughout all phases of digital technology development, deployment, and use. If AI is to actually advance gender equality rather than perpetuate inequality, violence, and discrimination, the differentiated impact that AI and other technologies have on women and girls should be studied and urgently addressed. We encourage all member states to fulfill their obligations under international law and agreements.
Thank you very much. Equality now. And now I give the floor to Japan. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. AI is a technology that has the potential to improve people's lives by increasing productivity and expanding the digital economy, as well as to solve issues facing the international community, such as poverty, hunger, climate change, public health, and others, towards the achievement of the SDGs. The involvement of all stakeholders is indispensable in achieving a common vision and goal for the development, deployment, and use of AI systems, so that their benefits can be enjoyed by all people around the world, including women and girls. At the same time, it is important to mitigate the risks posed by AI technology while maximizing the benefits. Towards the realization of safe, secure, and trustworthy AI, focusing on generative AI, Japan launched the Hiroshima AI process last year as the G7 president, and the process successfully led to the compilation of the Hiroshima AI process comprehensive policy framework last December. This comprehensive policy framework on generative AI governance includes the International Code of Conduct for organizations developing advanced AI systems and the International Guiding Principles for all AI actors. We recognize that the concept of interoperability of AI governance is critical and stress the importance of international discussions on AI governance and interoperability between AI governance frameworks, building on existing initiatives such as relevant guiding principles and the Code of Conduct, as well as the work led by UN specialized agencies. We must take a collective, international, and inclusive approach to narrow gender equality gaps and prevent forms of gender-based violence, discrimination, and misinformation against women and girls. In this vein, the aforementioned policy framework and code of conduct stipulate that states must abide by their obligations under international human rights law to ensure that human rights are fully respected and protected, while private sector activities should be in line with international frameworks such as the United Nations Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights and the OECD Guidelines for Multinational Enterprises. Japan stands ready to collaborate with all stakeholders, including the private sector, academia, and civil society, to ensure a positive usage of AI towards advancing gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls. I thank you.
Thank you, Japan. And now give the floor to the United States. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. The growing gender digital divide reinforces existing socioeconomic inequalities. Without equal access to technology, women and girls are denied educational opportunities, timely health information, necessary social interactions, and online access to business skills like training, mentoring, and angel investors, and e-commerce platforms to help grow their businesses. When women and girls gain access to the internet and digital platforms, they can face discouraging and dangerous barriers, such as technology-facilitated gender-based violence. An estimated 85% of women and girls globally have witnessed or experienced some form of online harassment and abuse. The digital world holds immense potential to amplify the voices of women, girls, and LGBTQI+ persons. At the same time, social media platforms and other digital technologies have given rise to new forms and manifestations of tech-facilitated GBV through their misuse. These technologies have exacerbated pre-existing forms of GBV through their scale, speed, and reach, much behind the cover of anonymity alongside insufficient mechanisms to stop it. The rapid development of AI can be used to amplify tactics such as gendered information, which uses false or misleading gender and sex-based narratives to discourage online political discourse and shape perceptions towards gender and the role of women in democracies. AI can facilitate the non-consensual creation and dissemination of real and synthetic or deep fake intimate images that disproportionately target women and create a chilling effect in their participation in government worldwide. Recognizing this urgent challenge, the Biden-Harris administration is advancing women's political participation and leadership in the context of digital democracy while addressing the growing risk posed by new and emerging tech. We are working closely with 13 other countries through the Global Partnership for Action on Gender-Based Online Harassment and Abuse, collectively prioritizing the issue of tech-based GBV as part of a shared global agenda to promote peace, security, and stability. President Biden signed an executive order on the safe, secure, and trustworthy development and use of AI that pushes the U.S. government to do everything in its power to manage AI risks to individuals in society, including women and girls. And the United States will engage with allies and partners in developing a framework to manage AI's risks, unlock AI's potential for good, and promote common approaches to shared challenges. Thank you.
I thank the United States and now give the floor to International Federation of Journalists. They should be joining us virtually.
Yes, you hear me?
We hear you. Go ahead, please.
Yes. Thanks. Hello, everybody, for this opportunity to participate. Artificial intelligence is here to stay and present us with challenges and opportunities in the task of promoting gender equality. But was IA? Columbia Journalist Review published last February an interesting study on artificial intelligence in the news. It defines AI as the act of computationally simulating activities and skills in narrowly definite domains, typical the application, typical application of machine learning approaches through which machines learn from data and or their own performance. This definition is interesting when it comes to addressing the challenges and opportunities that IA brings. If we focus on gender equality, it should be noted that AI develops the gender biases on the languages in the learns. A study by Princeton published in 2017 in the journal Science confirmed that the machines not only incorporate sexist words or expression automatically, but also assume cultural stereotypes that they assimilate by pure statistics. Thus, the AI detects that family names and words such as girl or woman are associated with domestic or family tasks in a much higher percentage than, for example, with the science from there they develop algorithms that are not exactly feminist. It seems clear that if IA is to help advance gender equality, the barriers posed by the stereotypes that machine automatically reflect must be overcome. It cannot be forgotten that the persistence of these stereotypes perpetuates the economic and social marginalization of women and also their collective image. Women's empowerment requires measures to support equal opportunities. Moreover, the possibility of having a technology such as IA opens a clear gap between the richer countries that can count on it and the poorer ones that can be left out. This situation should also make us reflect on ethical issues and the necessary participation of civil society in the control on this technology. On the other hand, the application of AI in the world of journalists is of particular interest. In this regard, the report cited above notes that the lack of the transparency in IA systems raised concerns about biases and errors creeping into journalistic output, especially as generative AI
I thank the
models
International Federation of Journalists. Unfortunately, your time is up. And now I give the floor to Colombia. The floor is yours.
Señor presidente, los derechos de las mujeres y niñas en toda su diversidad, así como su empoderamiento, han tenido avances significativos en el último siglo. Si bien la tecnología ha jugado un rol importante en dicho proceso, también ha presentado desafíos a la hora de facilitar y no entorpecer una igualdad real de género. Ahora que los desarrollos de las tecnologías de la información y las comunicaciones se tornan más y más veloces, es menester acelerar la consideración integral del empoderamiento digital basado en género. En especial, ante los cambios profundos que las herramientas de inteligencia artificial están introduciendo al trabajo, la educación y las actividades de ocio, debemos preguntarnos, ¿el uso y la gobernanza de esta nueva tecnología está contemplando de forma adecuada los asuntos relacionados con el género? Asimismo, ¿cómo podemos lograr que la intensificación en el uso de la inteligencia artificial sea directamente proporcional al progreso en la igualdad de género y el avance de todas las mujeres y niñas, en especial las que se encuentran en situaciones vulnerables? Las estadísticas mundiales nos indican que en general las mujeres tienen menos acceso a las nuevas tecnologías y menores grados de alfabetización digital, situación que se agudiza en el caso de las mujeres rurales, indígenas, afrodescendientes o con discapacidad, así como las personas LGBTIQ+, todavía estamos subrepresentadas en la investigación y el desarrollo de IA, mientras que los estereotipos dañinos y los prejuicios incrustados en los algoritmos continúan posibilitando múltiples interseccionales formas de discriminación y violencia. De lograr el alfabetismo y accesos digitales con base en un enfoque transformativo de género e interseccional y los estándares de regulación y seguridad adecuados, la inteligencia artificial podría jugar un papel clave en garantizar que no se profundice el retroceso actual en materia de goce efectivo de los derechos de las mujeres y las niñas. Señor presidente, la inteligencia artificial debe ser una fuerza para la inclusión y no una aliada de la igualdad de género y el empoderamiento de las mujeres en toda su diversidad. Concebida y regulada así, con los seres humanos siempre en el centro, la IA podría facilitar la satisfacción de las necesidades.
Thank you, Colombia. I now give the floor to Malaysia. The floor is yours. You have to wait till it turns red.
Sure. Thanks. Chair, distinguished panelists, delegates, ladies and gentlemen. As we delve into this discussion, it is crucial to acknowledge that AI offers tremendous potential for societal advancement. While it presents exciting opportunities, it also possesses significant risk, especially regarding gender equality and the protection of women and girls. Research suggests AI could significantly enhance GDP by up to 26% over the next decade, with digitization marking a path towards sustainable growth. In Malaysia, the ICT sector accounted for 23.2% of the GDP in 2021, a figure boosted by the digital surge during the COVID-19 pandemic, which pushed people, businesses, and government services towards online platforms. It is projected to rise to 25.5% by 2025. AI's impact on gender equality in Malaysia mirrors global trends. a mixture of opportunity and challenge. AI and digital technologies open doors for women in education, employment, and business, with the fintech and e-commerce sectors witnessing remarkable contribution from women entrepreneurs. Despite these advances, women's participation in the workforce was 55.8% in 2022, trailing behind men's 80.9%. Addressing this disparity is a priority under the Madadi Economy Framework, aiming to elevate women's labor force participation to 60% within a decade. However, AI's capacity to perpetuate existing biases poses a significant threat. Without careful oversight, AI can embed gender stereotypes into hiring, lending, and judicial decisions. The tech and AI sectors shows a pronounced gender gap in education and employment, which could shape an AI future that sidelines women's perspectives and contributions. To counter these challenges, Malaysia is looking into possible solutions to embodying gender perspective into AI governance, advocating for gender impact assessment in all phases of AI system development. This ensures AI technology foster inclusivity rather than discrimination. Enhancing capacity to leverage AI for gender equality includes bolstering education and career opportunity for women in STEM and AI through scholarship and mentorship. The government plays a pivotal role in reshaping the AI ecosystem to balance power and distribute benefits and risk more equitable. This effort includes promoting AI literacy among women, supporting women-led AI initiatives, and ensuring female representation in AI governance frameworks. Implementing ethical guidelines for AI use is crucial to safeguarding rights and preventing misuse. In closing, our collective endeavor should be to harness AI's advancements to bridge the gender gap using technology as a catalyst for empowerment and equality. Let's commit to making AI a force for positive change, ensuring inclusivity and prosperity.
Thank you, Malaysia. I now give the floor to the Association for Progressive Communications.
I represent the Association for Progressive Communications, a network of members from the Global South that worked in the intersection of human rights and digital rights. We were there 30 years ago in Beijing when the Platform of Action was launched, and where women from our network designed the technical infrastructure that was able to connect over 30,000 people that participated in the conference. Back then, we dreamt together on how the internet could shape our lives in the future that was yet to come. Today, almost 30 years later, we're here speaking about AI, which has been recently advertised as the solution to many problems, including gender equality. In reality, women and girls keep facing the same structural and contextual problems they were facing 30 years ago. No matter how many technologies emerge, there's a structural and systemic problem that needs to be addressed. AI replicates and exacerbates the inequalities and oppressions of our world. Algorithms reflect the capitalist, patriarchal, and colonial power dynamics. They are being designed by biased people using biased data sets that fail to represent the diversity of context and people, leading to sustaining discrimination and to silencing and invisibility of structurally oppressed groups. Datafication, automation, and algorithmic responses have a differentiated impact on women, girls, and people of diverse genders and sexualities that is turning into online-based violence in the forms of hate speech, gender disinformation, among others. AI impacts our privacy, security, and freedom of expressions. It has harmful implications for judicial systems, education, public health. If it's designed for surveillance and control purposes, it threatens the existence of work of feminist activists and women human rights defenders. Mere mitigation or responsive measures are not enough. We need rights-based guarantees to prevent harm and ensure equity. We need a binding global code of ethics that prevents their deployment for purposes that contravene international law and human rights obligations. We need public consultations and risk assessments. Equality by design principles should be incorporated into the design, development, application, and review of AI systems. Most importantly, women and girls in all their diversity must be involved in the creation, development, implementation, and governance of AI systems and technology. Social, economic, and gender justice must be placed at the center when thinking of their design and development. Accountability and transparency must be demanded from technology corporations who are building and selling AI to ensure that their development and deployment are rooted in existing international human rights frameworks and do not erode democracy rights and labor standards. We need the adoption of individual and collective bias mitigation tools, redress mechanisms, and controls. AI and machine learning should be trained on thick data and not big data for diagnostics and analysis rather than for prediction models and drawing deterministic correlations. Finally, let's imagine how to place AI systems in the commons and to build together and with shared governance a digital realm for the well-being of people and the planet, based on the shared goals of a feminist internet where AI.
I thank the Association for Progressive Communications and now give the floor to Ukraine.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Despite the during more than 2 years of full-scale Russian invasion, this country used digital technology as a weapon. Ukrainian position is the use of digital technologies and AI primarily to protect the nation, guarantee equality and respectful rights. Access to e-services, safe use of AI, and digital skills are important aspects of promoting gender equality. It's impossible to create a digital state without equal opportunities. In Ukraine, more than 19.9 million people use digital documents in DIA State app on a daily basis for identification and sharing purposes. Our national edutainment platform of digital literacy and skills, DIA Education, we continue to teach more than 2.1 million users, of those who indicated gender as 68% of women and 31% of men. When it comes to gender equality gaps, discrimination and misinformation against women, both legislative and non-legislative measures should be taken. Thus, at legislation level in Ukraine, we've come up with a bottom approach towards AI regulation with the implementation of European AI Act. We've had a lot of discussion with businesses, and we managed to agree that we will implement the AI Act, which provides the highest level of human rights protection, including protection of women and countering discrimination in AI. Ukraine has taken part in the elaboration of the future Council of Europe's Convention of AI, which has been recently agreed at the level of the Council of European Committee on AI and is finally adopted in the coming months. To ensure the highest level of human rights protection, including protection of women, Ukraine has strong determination to join the convention. We aim to strengthen legal framework to address online harassment and abuse, including measures especially targeting AI-driven forms of harassment. As non-legislation measures to provide training and support to women in public position, such as politicians, journalists, and human rights defenders on cybersecurity best practices and strategies for protecting themselves against AI-enabled threats. Collaborate with social media platforms and technology companies to develop and implement measures to protect and detect and mitigate AI-driven harassment and misinformation targeting women. Our call for action to the international community is to ensure that gender aspects are taken into account in design and implementation of new digital governance frameworks. Integrate gender disaggregated data collection and analysis into digital governance process to better understand and address the different impact of digital technologies of women and men. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ukraine. I now give the floor to Kirmizi Biber Dernegi.
Honorable Chair, fellow delegates and speakers, I am Dr. Tendi Yoğurtçu, the Chief Technology Officer at Precisely, a global leader in data integrity, empowering organizations and all over the world, including 99 of the Fortune 100, to build trust in their data. Today, I am here to make a statement on behalf of the Red Pepper Association, where I serve as an AI advisor. The Red Pepper Association, Kırmızı Biber Derneği, is an NGO located in Istanbul, Turkey, defending gender equality to stop violence against women and children and all forms of discrimination. We are witnessing a major transformation driven by automation and generative AI. The World Economic Forum identifies AI as a key driver of global change. The International Monetary Fund highlights the significant impact of AI on the job market, with up to 60% of jobs in advanced economies exposed to AI. This transformative era presents a crucial opportunity to address gender disparities in the workforce and beyond. First, invest. The tech force continues to be dominated by men, with only a quarter of all tech jobs held by women and the majority of technical and leadership roles held by men. Specifically, women make up only 22% of AI professionals globally. The digital shift across all industries underscores the urgency of investing in women's digital skills. Failing to do so risks widening the digital divide and gender inequalities, hindering innovation and economic progress. Second, include. Engaging women in the development of AI technologies is vital for creating inclusive algorithms and eliminating biases, paving the way for more equitable AI systems. Generative AI, with its capacity to generate content, analyze vast data sets, and provide personalized experiences, can create new opportunities for women by simplifying data analytics and democratizing access to technology for non-technical users. These AI systems can help institutions identify and remediate gender biases, such as in recruiting or in financing, leading to more inclusive policymaking. Thus, harnessing capabilities of generative AI can provide innovative pathways to a more gender-equal world. Third, educate. By 2050, 75% of jobs are expected to be related to STEM areas. Early access to STEM education, along with reskilling and certification programs for women, is key to breaking barriers, enabling higher-paying jobs and opportunities to advance into leadership roles.
I thank the Red Pepper Association. Now give the floor to Saudi Arabia. The floor is yours.
سيد الرئيس، أصحاب المعالي والسعادة، الضيوف الكرام، تحية طيبة. تشهد المملكة العربية السعودية تطوراً سريعاً في شتى المجالات في ظل رؤيتها 2030، وبدعم واهتمام كبيرين من خادم الحرمين الشريفين الملك سلمان بن عبد العزيز وسمو ولي العهد الأمير محمد بن سلمان حفظهم الله، وهو من انعكس إيجابياً على الجوانب التنموية والاقتصادية والاجتماعية في بلادنا الغالية. تعتبر النقلة المعلوماتية والتحول الرقمي الاستثنائي الذي تمر بهم المملكة سابقة فريدة، ولعل من أبرز عوامل هذا النجاح التركيز على تنمية رأس المال الوطني والشمولية في بيئة العمل وتعزيز جهود ودعم تمكين المرأة، حيث أن أبرز أهداف الرؤية تمكين المرأة في سوق العمل. وحرصا على استمرار مسيرة التطور التقني في المملكة العربية السعودية، اتخذت المملكة جملة من القرارات لتعزيز استخدامات الذكاء الاصطناعي ووضع السعودية في مصاف الدول المؤثرة والرائدة. آخر هذه القرارات إعلان إنشاء مركز دولي لأبحاث وأخلاقيات الذكاء الاصطناعي الذي يسعى إلى تعزيز الممارسات السليمة في تبني تقنيات الذكاء الاصطناعي وضمان الاستخدام المسؤول في خدمة الأهداف التنموية والإنسانية. وفقا لتقرير مؤشر الذكاء الصادر من جامعة ستانفورد 2023، فإن المملكة العربية السعودية تتمتع بثاني أكبر قدر من المعرفة والوعي بفوائد الذكاء الاصطناعي. وفي قطاع الاتصالات وتقنية المعلومات تم العمل على عدة برامج لرفع تمكين المرأة في مهن الاتصالات وتقنية المعلومات، حيث وصلت إلى نسبة 35% في الربع الرابع من 2023، وتعد هذه النسبة هي الأعلى من متوسط الاتحاد الأوروبي ومجموعة ال20 ووادي السيليكون. وإن من البيانات هي نفط القرن ال21. ومن هذا المنطلق قامت الأكاديمية السعودية الرقمية التابعة لوزارة الاتصالات بتدريب أكثر من 25 ألف مستفيد، 70% منهم من النساء، يغوصون في عالم الرقمي من خلال معسكرات تدريبية. وتأتي أيضا مبادرة إليفيت من الهيئة السعودية للبيانات والذكاء الاصطناعي ضمن الجهود الساعية إلى سد الفجوة بين الجنسين في الذكاء الاصطناعي لتمكين أكثر من 25 ألف امرأة في الأسواق الناشئة والذكاء الاصطناعي. وعند الحديث عن البنية التحتية والرقمية والتركيز على الشمول الرقمي وسد الفجوة الرقمية، تم تصنيف المملكة العربية السعودية ضمن أفضل 3 دول في العالم في سد الفجوة الرقمية، حيث وصلت نسبة الفجوة الرقمية إلى أقل من 1%. إن التقدم الذي حققته المملكة في دعم وتمكين المرأة وتبني التقنيات الناشئة والذكاء الاصطناعي دليل واضح على أن استخدام الذكاء الاصطناعي يمكن أن يكون أداة حيوية تمكن المرأة إذا طبقت بالشكل الصحيح، وبذلك تكون المرأة مساهما فعالا في لتحقيق مستهدفات رؤية 2030 ووطن طموح واقتصاد مزدهر ومجتمع حيوي، حيث أن طموحنا لا يتوقف عند رؤية 2030، فرؤية 2030 ليست فقط محطة وصول بل نقطة انطلاق نحو آفاق لمزيد من الإنجازات والتطورات في الذكاء الاصطناعي وتمكين المرأة. شكرا سيد الرئيس.
Thank you, Saudi Arabia. I now give the floor to Kenya. The floor is yours.
The chair, distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen, artificial intelligence has been embraced in Kenya with usage of internet among males at 25.2% and 20.2% females for individuals aged 3 and above. In urban areas, the usage of internet is at 42.6% and 13.8% in rural areas. Now, we have existing legal frameworks which govern AI, and these include the Data Protection Act. We also have the Computer Misuse and Cyber Crimes Act of 2018, and all these address offenses related to digital platforms, aiding in detecting, preventing, investigating, and prosecuting cybercrimes. We also have the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner, and this oversees implementation and enforcement of all DPA and ensures compliance, among others. Now, in education, we have AI-powered learning platforms tailored to the specific needs of students, and this has a gender perspective and has been able to improve on girls' performance. Now, we also have what we call the Tangerine app, which it's meant for education assessment, collection, and teacher coaching. It allows for tracking the individual performance of both students and teachers, even in offline mode, and this ensures accessibility from any part of the country. Now, the app's built GPRS system provides real-time results and transparency by showing the user's location during usage. This is hugely beneficial for female students. Now, at the same time, we have the National Education Management Information Systems. We call it NEMIS, and it offers online access, business intelligence, statistics, and it utilizes technological solutions to monitor and evaluate the education sector. Now, all this is done with a gender lens. Now, we also have promotion of STEM uptake among girls, and for this we hold holiday boot camps organized by the Ministry of Education in collaboration with UNESCO on various STEM topics. In the transport sector, AI is being utilized to monitor traffic in urban areas through GPS systems like Google Maps and Wazi. Women with access to smartphones equipped with these apps can efficiently plan their routes, especially when commuting from work. An app specifically designed to provide transport services for pregnant mothers to health facilities has also been developed and has been utilized and saved lives. Now, we have online taxi services which use AI, and these are widely used and are of great help to women and girls in cases of medical emergency. In security, AI is increasingly employed in closed-circuit television systems, which can be connected to personal phones for enhanced security monitoring of homes and offices. Now, this advancement enables women to oversee the activities of caregivers, particularly when caring for small children, and they
Thank you, Kenya. And I'll give the floor to the Swedish Federation of Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Rights.
Honorable Chair and distinguished delegates, my name is Justin, and I make this statement on behalf of the lesbian, bisexual, trans, and intersex caucus. The digital revolution has undoubtedly reshaped our global landscape, offering immense opportunity for connection and advancing human rights organizing. Digital technologies are important tools for marginalized groups, including LGBTI and diverse women and girls, to access information, find information, and build community. Therefore, there must be an assurance of inclusive access for all, and at the same time protect people's privacy. However, as we navigate the digital age, especially in relation to artificial intelligence, we must confront the harsh realities of the digital divide, which disproportionately affect LGBTI persons. This digital divide intersects with other forms of inequality, such as socioeconomic status, gender, race, disability, and geography, creating complex barriers to participating in the digital sphere. While AI has the potential to revolutionize our approach to gender equality, it also poses significant risks of perpetuating and exacerbating existing inequality, particularly for LGBTI persons. AI and other algorithm-reliant tools have the potential to exclude and harm LGBTI people. through lack of inclusive design and the perpetuation of stereotypes like gender bias, gender unaware design, and lack of gender impact assessment all contribute to exclusionary practices. In particular, hard-coding things like sexual orientation, prediction, and automated gender recognition impact LGBTI persons, as these run the risk of reinforcing gender binaries, misgendering people, excluding people from services, and can also be misused to threaten people's safety. We must emphasize the role of inclusion and diversity in creation and governance of AI, addressing the ethical consideration related to the development and use of digital technology. These include algorithmic bias and the ethical use of data, data governance and digital sovereignty, including data protection, cross-border data flows, and the rights of individuals over their personal data, while further developing regulatory frameworks and standards for promoting responsible behavior in the digital realm. We must employ LGBT organizations in closing the digital gap and literacy, supporting innovation ecosystem in developing countries, and establishing mechanisms for accountability. Centering a right-based approach in discussing technology as well as artificial intelligence is essential to advance gender equality. We must work to dismantle barriers to online access, promote digital literacy, and create inclusive digital spaces where all individuals of all sexual orientation, gender identity, and sex characteristics can fully participate and thrive. Thank you.
I thank the Federation of Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Rights and give the floor to South Africa. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Chair, distinguished delegates, NGOs, ladies and gentlemen. South Africa has done a lot. However, I am not going to talk about what South Africa has done. I think the discussions here have indicated that the benefits of artificial intelligence are enormous, from health, education, even in war, security, and others. However, the discussions sometimes at this place are disjuncted. It's as if we're not talking at the same place. Other countries are poor. For example, when you look at the continent, where most countries are muzzled by the extortionist debt, they can't even begin to implement artificial intelligence. I think the discussions should also support the discussion about cancellation of debt, so that the countries that are muzzled by debt can be able to participate and benefit from artificial intelligence. Thank you very much.
Thank you, South Africa. I now give the floor to Mali.
Merci bien, Monsieur le Président. Je suis Madame Tchouta Traoré du Mali. Inscrite au cœur des priorités du gouvernement malien, les nouvelles technologies de l'information et de la communication ont fait l'objet de plusieurs mesures, telles que l'adoption d'un document de politique nationale de l'économie numérique en 2005, revu en 2016 et en cours d'adoption. Ce document définit les orientations prenant en compte les préoccupations de la femme et de la jeune fille. Il y a aussi le document de lutte contre la cybercriminalité et la stratégie nationale de cybersécurité en cours d'adoption. La protection des données à caractère personnel. Concernant l'intelligence artificielle, le président de la transition, son Excellence colonel Assimi Goïta, a procédé le 7 juin 2023 à la pose de la première pierre du Centre d'intelligence artificielle et de robotique SIAR Mali, dirigé par une femme. Ce centre a pour mission d'offrir un cadre plus adéquat pour l'émergence d'un vivier de spécialistes en technologie d'intelligence artificielle et de robotique, d'œuvrer à l'égalité des sexes dans l'accès aux technologies d'intelligence artificielle et de robotique. Le gouvernement a également créé le complexe numérique de Bamako chargé de renforcer les capacités en matière de formation, de recherche et d'innovation dans le domaine des TIC et de l'intelligence artificielle afin de stimuler la croissance économique. Les actions sont les voyages d'études de l'organisation de compétitions Miss Science, la culture de l'entrepreneuriat numérique et la mise en place d'un village numérique avec une salle d'initiation en informatique libre et gratuite. En perspective, il est envisagé la création d'une université virtuelle. Des défis sont à relever. Il y a le faible accès des femmes aux TIC, le faible niveau d'alphabétisation, les difficultés d'accès des femmes au financement pour la concrétisation de leurs projets. Enfin, l'intelligence artificielle pourrait être un catalyseur de l'autonomisation de la femme africaine en général et de la malienne en particulier dans les secteurs comme l'agriculture, l'éducation, le commerce électronique, le numérique. Cependant, cela passe par le renforcement des capacités. À cet effet, j'appelle la communauté internationale à fortement accompagner nos États confrontés à plusieurs défis, en particulier sécuritaires, pour faire de l'intelligence artificielle un véritable outil de lutte contre la pauvreté, notamment à travers l'autonomisation des femmes et des filles. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, Mali. I now give the floor to International Trade Union Confederation.
Hi, my name is Siobhan Vipond, and I am the Vice Chair of the Women's Committee for the International Trade Union Confederation. Our membership includes 80 million women workers worldwide, and we are concerned how AI exposes workers, particularly women, to profound risk which undermine their human rights and labor rights and widens the already persistent gender gaps in the world of work. We are concerned that AI is dominated by a few big companies, giving them excessive power and wealth over this technology. The deployment of AI is pushing workers towards precarious, insecure jobs as algorithmic management drives people to work at unsafe and unstable rates through constant monitoring and feedback. Gender and racial biases found in AI training data sets, algorithms, and devices reinforce harmful gender stereotypes, deepen discrimination, and increase gender-based violence and harassment in the world of work. AI and new technology, like robotization, are applied in those sectors dominated by women, such as hospitality and tourism, retail, healthcare, and education. More than twice the share of female employment is affected by automation due to women's overrepresentation in clerical work. Algorithms applied for recruitment show gender and racial biases which exclude applications for women, ethnic minorities, and other groups. Women's participation in STEM education and jobs show that women are largely underrepresented in computing, digital information technology, engineering, mathematics, and physics. Women entering into STEM jobs are subjected to gender-based violence and harassment in the world of work, including researchers and women scientists. Meanwhile, women journalists, politicians, and human rights defenders are targeted and attacked systemically by organized misogynist hate groups online, which is causing an alarming rise of online bullying and harassment, fueled by the proliferation of misinformation and disinformation enabled by digital platforms. AI systems lack regulation, transparency, and rights-based approach and social dialogue. The ITUC calls on member states to engage in social dialogue and take concerted, gender-responsive actions to ensure regulation of AI and tech companies through codes of ethics which safeguard the principles of fundamental human rights, dignity, integrity, freedom, and gender diversity. The strengthening of public governance of data and algorithmic systems to ensure quality public services and public control of public systems and data sovereignty. Fair and social just transition measures in the world of work grounded on the ILO's fundamental labor standards, measures to ensure equitable access to STEM-related education and jobs, and the rights for everyone to a world of work free from violence and harassment by ratifying ILO Convention 190. Thank you.
I thank the International Trade Union Confederation. We have 4 speakers left on my list, and we continue with Senegal. The floor is yours.
Bonjour, merci Monsieur le Président. Je suis Mbayam Ndiaye Fall du Sénégal. Au fait, au Sénégal, dans une démarche inclusive, une stratégie nationale sur l'intelligence artificielle a été mise en œuvre et elle est adaptée aux opportunités et défis de développement durable du Sénégal, et dans les années à venir, elle cherche à améliorer le niveau de vie du Sénégal, son attractivité pour les investisseurs et son leadership régional. Du côté de la société civile, en tant que présidente de l'Association sénégalaise des femmes diplômées des universités, nous cherchons constamment des partenaires pour notre programme de conquête du numérique pour briser les barrières et à travers ce programme, nous formons des jeunes filles au leadership en les initiant à l'entrepreneuriat numérique. Ainsi, grâce à l'accompagnement de partenaires et les autorités de l'éducation nationale, les jeunes filles identifient des problèmes au sein de leur communauté qui seraient liés à l'un des 17 objectifs de développement durable et utilisent la technologie pour apporter une solution à ce problème, dont l'IA. Aujourd'hui, 166 jeunes filles sénégalaises issues des différentes régions du Sénégal, y compris les zones les plus défavorisées, ont pu bénéficier de ce programme malgré les limites liées à l'écart numérique. De même, elles ont pu élaborer pour la plupart des projets numériques très structurants. Ainsi, nous restons convaincus que pour prendre part à la révolution numérique en cours, il faut passer par l'éducation en intervenant très tôt dans la vie de la jeune fille. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, Senegal. I now give the floor to Graduate Women International.
Thank you. I'm Shaila Rao Mistry, Vice President of Advocacy, Graduate Women International, CEO, founder of STEM Institute, JKMMI, an aerospace and medical device entity. Artificial intelligence and gender bias intersect significantly, impacting women's decision-making, economic security, education, access to health and employment, and the unbanked. While artificial intelligence brings positive benefits, it also presents ethical challenges and perpetuates inherent bias that contribute to lack of access, inequality, and discrimination. Let me share some actions that we have taken. GWI's engagement with technology and AI began at the UN World Summit on Information Technology in Geneva 2003 and Tunisia 2005 when it was launched. We passionately advocated for human rights on the internet, emphasizing inclusion for women and the next generations. I co-authored the Charter on Human Rights to protect women and children's rights on the internet, and it remains relevant today, 20 years later, and has been translated into multiple languages. We established the Committee on Internet Rights and Principles to protect women and girls from the continuing internet transgressions of privacy, gender equity, and online safety. GWI conducts future seminars on artificial intelligence in education, health, economy, decision-making, and equity. And we challenge existing norms. We strive for inclusion and unbiased AI systems. And we exposed bias algorithms perpetuating the inequalities at COPS, at GEF, and at GES. And we have submitted language to the Summit of the Future in Geneva. Today, we formally announce our flagship initiative, Advocacy Without Borders, to take action on critical emerging issues of our time, AI being one. And our differentiating factor is our strength to address both globally prevalent regional issues and specific issues. Artificial intelligence, economic security, health, education, and engaging multi-generations. Now, as GWI, we will continue to advocate for governments to establish laws and policies to redress gender disparities, for private sector to provide transparent funding and invest in femtech, women-led companies, and for AI innovators to develop gender-sensitive, inclusive platforms and technology. And of course, we see collaboration with all sectors, private, public, government, and civil society, the voice of civil society to be heard, to build a sustainable future. Thank you.
I thank the Graduate Women International and now give the floor to Women at the Table.
We need a pro-social AI designed with intention that has inclusion at the core to create new opportunities and innovative correction of inequities. We call for a gender transformative AI future that creates ecosystems that weave the digital and the green and the care work transitions into an indivisible, interdependent framework. Therefore, we must use gender-responsive public procurement to jumpstart new value creation, invented and owned by women and girls, expanding the definitions of expertise so that those with lived experience and the communities that are affected by technologies can influence the design, deployment, and control of these new technologies. Insist the public sector experiment and pilot AI that allocates 21st century social protection, incentives, subsidies, and scholarships where women and girls have traditionally been left behind. Mandate the use of algorithmic impact assessments that include integrated gender, human rights, and environmental impact assessments together, both ex ante and continuously throughout the life cycle of each system. Enshrine the public's right to know the AI systems that impact their lives, beginning with continuous consent and ending with contestability. Build capacity through mandatory training for any individual who uses AI-informed decision-making in their work, or develops it, or inputs data into it. Construct new quality, unbiased data sets for public use led by the UN. Create research funds to explore impacts of AI on the lives of women and all those traditionally excluded from rules-making and decision-taking. And to accomplish this, a standalone section on gender in the Global Digital Compact and a meaningful, influential seat for civil society is necessary. This work could resituate women and girls and historically marginalized populations from the dark edges to the bright center of technology creation and control, to create more inclusive frameworks that benefit all, going further than the goal to leave no one behind, to one that lifts everyone up in human dignity. Thank you.
Thank you, women at the table. And now I give the floor to our last speaker, which is Australia. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for having us. Artificial intelligence applications are penetrating all aspects of our daily lives, from shaping people's opinions to influencing their behaviors in daily routines. At the same time, AI is creating new ethical and research challenges requiring our urgent attention. There continues to exist some gender gaps in AI algorithms, and the bias and adverse outcomes of these algorithm decisions reach beyond individuals to harmful effects on families, communities, and society at large. Gender bias has been observed in various levels, starting from within a family, in education, to education and employment, and women are generally considered underutilized resources with the abilities and skills needed for the IT industry, which then limits their career choice and limits their employability. Australia has joined the race in gender equality and AI regulation. Australia adopted a voluntary and aspirational set of AI principles termed the Artificial Intelligence Ethics Framework under the Department of Industry, Science and Resources in 2019. According to the framework, AI systems should foster social well-being, fairness, and contestability. And this envisages an ideal scenario in which an impacted community, person, or group has time to challenge the use or outcomes of the AI system, and then tries to foresee some degree of accountability, although defined in extremely vague terms. Based on insights from job postings and the views of 900 employees in Nigeria, there continues to be a huge disconcerting gender gap in the training and development that employers received in their AI upskilling and in their careers and in their earning potential. This gap exists despite women showing a higher openness to AI upskilling, with only a quarter, about 23%, only saying that they would prefer to change jobs or careers rather than learn how to use AI, compared to 2 to 5 men. Current data suggests that more men are leveraging AI in their roles, with 44% claiming they use this technology at work, compared to...
Thank you, Australia. I recognize that the European Union has asked for the floor, and the floor is yours.
Chair, distinguished panelists, I have the honor to speak on behalf of the European Union and its member states. Artificial intelligence is a key technology of our century. Indeed, it has the potential to leverage economies, provide new empowering tools, and help close the global gender digital divide. However, as eloquently articulated by many of the panelists today, the misuse of AI also brings risks for the promotion and protection of human rights, such as privacy and freedom of expression, to name a few. It is crucial that AI systems are designed, developed, and used in a way that applies a human rights-based approach and does not perpetuate existing biases, stereotypes, and discrimination against women and girls. The new European AI Act is the world's first comprehensive AI law with the aim of addressing risks to health, safety, and human rights. In this context, we take seriously the pursuit of promoting gender equality by recognizing the pervasiveness of gender biases and tackling technology-facilitated sexual and gender-based violence. An important part of the soon-to-be-adopted EU directive on violence against women and domestic violence is the criminalization of certain forms of cyber violence against women, including AI-generated or manipulated material, more commonly known as deepfakes. Further, to sustainably bridge the gender-digital divide, the EU has introduced initiatives to increase leadership and participation of women and girls in the ICT and digital sector. This is why the EU's Digital Decade policy program aims to double the number of ICT professionals from 9 to 20 million with gender balance, while empowering female graduates in STEM subjects. With initiatives such as Girls Go Circular, part of the EU's Commission's Digital Education Action Plan, the EU intends to attract more girls and young women to pursue ICT professions, thereby contributing to improved gender balance. The EU Code Week is another example of how the EU mainstreams digital literacy among young people to provide equal opportunities in the ICT sector from a young age. AI offers tremendous opportunities to advance gender equality. However, the EU underlines that the risks must be prevented and mitigated throughout the whole life cycle of AI. The development of a gender-equal digital world with shared and safe standards calls for further stepping up cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you, European Union. And with that, we conclude the speakers list that I have in front of me. Panelists, are we ready to respond to some of the comments that you have heard from the floor and make your final remarks? I see yes, so we could start. And we will start, yes, with Ivana Bartoletti.
Thank you so much, and wonderful contributions. Really, really good. I just wanted to make 3 quick points. So the first one is, we've just heard the European Union, every country, a lot of jurisdictions are working on governance models to sort of govern artificial intelligence. I would really encourage member states, really encourage at looking specifically into the harms that AI can do for women, and understand how proactive countries can be in navigating this territory. For example, when it comes to reforming existing legislation, such as non-discrimination laws, which across the world sometimes cannot deal very well with new forms of discrimination which is caused by algorithms. And I would encourage you all to find the Council of Europe report, which I have had the pleasure to write, exactly on algorithmic discrimination. You can find it just by Googling my name and Council of Europe, and it's focused exactly on algorithmic discrimination and what strategies could be deployed to tackle this. The second point that I wanted to make is it is true that we must do all we can to mitigate the risks of harms. But as many of you have said, there is no technological response to a problem that is mostly social. So I would encourage member states to think about adding in their tools a positive obligation for AI to drive equality. Because it's not going to happen by default. And it's not going to happen by default because every algorithm is a bundle of three things: data, people, and parameters. None of this is neutral. So if we want AI to drive inequality, which it can do, there has to be a choice to be made. And so my second point was really to encourage member states to have a positive obligation for AI to advance equality. And the third and last point that I wanted to make. Yes, it is true, we don't have enough women into coding and programming, and I applaud what states are doing for this. But one thing I wanted to warn you, it's not just women in coding and programming. It's women at the top of organizations, it's women at the table where the decisions around AI are made. This is where it's really important that the decisions made at UN level on the Digital Compact, they fully embed a feminist global approach to them. So it's not just women in coding, but it's really women at the top of businesses, at the top of the places where we decide the governance around AI. Because AI is going to benefit the world only if women are at the driving seat. And I'm fully convinced that we can get there if we all work together.
Thank you very much, Ivana. Now we could turn to Estella. Are you still with us?
Yes. Thank you for the excellent contribution. Then you could see the challenges of artificial intelligence related to gender are multi-layered. And the first layer is its design. Women need to have an active role in shaping the next generation of technologies, so stereotypes are not reproduced and diversity is considered. Also, new regulation still have to address the risk of discrimination, introduce transparency and accountability mechanisms to the public and the private sector. The second layer is related to the deployment of such technology and the direct socio-economic and political impact that AI will have on reducing or exacerbating gender equality. How to ensure that the AI reduces rather than exacerbate the gender inequality includes the digital divide question and guarantees diversity and redistribution mechanisms that address gender inequalities. That the third layer relates to collateral effects of the digitalization strategies, how they impact on the work organization and the work market. Other important issue is the protection of the human and children against misogyny, crimes, and violence, which are increasing with use of generative AI as hate crimes, seasoned content, misinformation, non-consent deepfakes, etc. In face of rapid development of AI with a lack of governance and the difficulties in law enforcement performance. And the last, gender issues. In their broad broad sense include the protection of LGBTQIAPN+ rights must be addressed in any global discussion of AI governance and all the digital environment as a whole.
Estela, thank you very much for your remarks. And now we turn to the other Ivana on our panel. Please.
Bueno, muchas gracias nuevamente por la invitación. Me pareció muy importante ver a tantos países que están enfocados en la diversidad y la perspectiva de género en sus políticas públicas. Lamentablemente en Argentina eso está prohibido hoy en día por el nuevo presidente y queríamos decir desde mi organización que nos parece fundamental la perspectiva de género en los datos, en la inteligencia artificial, desde una perspectiva de política pública. Es allí donde podemos cambiar realmente lo que está sucediendo. Algo que se mencionó muchísimo dentro de todas las exposiciones fue el tema de las empresas con pase libre para hacer lo que ellas quieren con la tecnología y cómo estamos todo el tiempo detrás de estos desarrollos tecnológicos sin poder tomarlos y hacerlos propios. Nos parece importante regular, sancionar y denunciar todo aquello que no funciona. Hay gente que dice que regular ya no importa porque todo va demasiado rápido. Es importante igualmente poner un freno y decir hasta aquí llegamos con esta impunidad que tienen las grandes empresas. Y también es importante que pongamos los esfuerzos necesarios para apoyar y promover otro tipo de lógicas en el mundo tecnológico. Lógicas cooperativas, interseccionales, que dejen de lado esta lógica de ganar billones de dólares o de euros o de lo que sea y pongan, como decía Colombia, a las personas en el centro, que potencien comunidades y ayuden a visibilizar aquellas injusticias de las que venimos hablando. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Ivana. And Paola, please.
Thank you very much. Dado que los sistemas de inteligencia artificial responden a los contextos económicos, históricos, sociopolíticos, jurídicos y culturales en los que surgen y se despliegan, debemos examinar estos sistemas como productos de las relaciones de poder asimétricas. Y si queremos lograr una justicia integral y planetaria, debemos considerar los sistemas de inteligencia artificial a lo largo de todo su ciclo de vida. Las desigualdades que se están produciendo en el planeta a través del despliegue masivo de la inteligencia artificial no solo produce desigualdades económicas, como hemos visto, laborales, sino también ambientales y epistémicas. Las asimetrías en el control del conocimiento y la imposición de un tipo de conocimiento, de lengua, de tecnología, el monocultivo tecnológico es también una manera de limitar las posibilidades de vida de las mujeres y las niñas. Por esa razón, las lenguas y las culturas del mundo mayoritario están en riesgo ante la homogeneidad epistémica que se impone a través del uso masivo de las inteligencias artificiales hegemónicas que conllevan la imposición de un modelo de mundo. Necesitamos pequeñas inteligencias artificiales que hablen nuestros idiomas, necesitamos inteligencias artificiales desarrolladas por mujeres y niñas, necesitamos condiciones para que la participación de las mujeres y las niñas sea significativa en los procesos de toma de decisión. Necesitamos que la gobernanza de la inteligencia artificial sea una gobernanza dedicada a poner límites a los monopolios, al poder corporativo de las grandes corporaciones que tienen la capacidad de definir los destinos de las mayorías de las personas del planeta. Los gobiernos de los países industrializados también tienen la responsabilidad de que sus decisiones están afectando las vidas de todas las mujeres y niñas del planeta. Por esa razón, creemos que los gobiernos también deben recuperar su capacidad de gobernar y de estar al servicio de sus ciudadanías y del bien común planetario, no solamente responder a los intereses de las empresas. La gobernamentalidad algorítmica es un riesgo real para todas las democracias del planeta. Por eso, como lo mencionaron, necesitamos políticas feministas de innovación, investigación y desarrollo. Necesitamos una gobernanza que ponga en el centro las capacidades de las mujeres. Necesitamos también regulación que ponga en el centro a los derechos de las mujeres y también que faciliten la organización política feminista. Eso significa avanzar en los derechos de las mujeres trabajadoras en mejores condiciones laborales y salarios justos, y que las corporaciones inviertan también parte de sus ganancias para el beneficio de las mujeres y las niñas como agentes centrales en el desarrollo tecnológico. Sabemos que necesitamos un mundo libre de violencia contra las mujeres y las niñas y evitar el despliegue de las tecnologías que aumentan la desigualdad global y la violencia a escala. Todos sabemos también que necesitamos que la causa de las mujeres y las niñas sea una causa de todos. Que si hay mujeres y hay niñas a las que les va bien, a la sociedad le va a ir bien, al planeta le va a ir bien. Las mujeres somos las que sostenemos la vida en todas sus formas. Tenemos derecho a existir, a participar plenamente en la sociedad, a decidir sobre nuestras vidas y sobre el rumbo del desarrollo tecnológico para que responda a nuestras necesidades. No necesitamos simulaciones ni alucinaciones, necesitamos acciones. No es la inteligencia artificial lo que plantea riesgos existenciales. Son los sistemas sociotécnicos, políticos, económicos, basados en la violencia, lo que pone en riesgo nuestra existencia como humanidad. No podemos esperar otros 200 años más de lucha de las mujeres. El tiempo para la humanidad está corriendo. Gracias.
Thank you very much, Paola, and we turn to Irene.
Thank you for your excellent contribution to this dialogue. There was already many important challenges related to gender equality mentioned, as well as there was emphasis on necessity that gender equality should be placed at the core of the new AI governance framework. Introducing AI regulatory framework which are grounded in human rights, such as the AI Act and upcoming Council of Europe AI Convention, is of paramount importance in achieving gender equality in the development and use of AI systems. Governments and policymakers need to establish regulatory frameworks and guidance for human rights-based and ethical development and use of AI systems, setting mandatory requirements and mechanisms for implementing such AI principles as inclusivity, accountability, and fairness in AI systems into practice. They can adopt regulations that require transparency in AI algorithms and the data sets they are trained on, ensuring biases are identified and corrected, develop standards for data collection and algorithm development that prevent biases from being introduced or perpetuated. And it is important both where it originates in the AI development cycle, but also it's important to mitigate harms in the AI's application context. And if we look to the in this AI development cycle, companies and developers of AI systems must focus on the collection and curation of diverse and inclusive training data sets and employ bias detection tools to identify gender biases within the data sets. If we look to the application context of AI, then technology companies should integrate bias mitigation tools within AI applications, allowing also users to report biased outputs and contribute to improvements of these systems. Another important mechanism is the performance of fundamental rights impact assessment management, which can allow companies to identify adverse impacts on fundamental rights. In order to ensure accountable and equitable use of AI systems, it is also necessary to establish effective, transparent, and inclusive monitoring and independent oversight mechanisms. For instance, the EU AI Act requires member states to establish independent supervisory authorities at national levels. And these authorities must be provided with sufficient resources, powers, and competencies to assess AI systems also for gender biases and discriminations. And if we look also to international AI governance frameworks, there are many developments. For example, on December last year, an interim report governing AI for humanity prepared by the high-level advisory body on artificial intelligence convened by the United Nations Secretary General has been released, and the report stresses that affirmative and corrective steps will be needed to address the historical and structural exclusion of certain communities, including women, from the development, deployment, use, and governance of technology, and to turn digital divides into inclusive digital opportunities. I wanted to mention also to other important initiatives, UNESCO recommendation on the ethics of AI, which focuses not only on values and principles, but also on the practical realization, providing concrete policy recommendations, which also has strong emphasis on gender equality, and the recommendation aims to protect, promote, and respect human rights, human dignity, equality, including gender equality, and separate very broad policy areas devoted to gender equality. This year, the negotiation of the Global Digital Compact offers another unique opportunity to build political momentum and place gender perspectives on digital technology at the core of a new digital governance framework. Thank you.
Thank you, Irene, for your remarks. And dear participants, with that, we conclude this interactive dialogue. I want to thank the panelists, the delegations, civil society. Thank you very much for being here today and speaking up for what you think should be done and sharing all your expertise and experiences. I think we could applaud to ourselves and to you and to everyone. The meeting is adjourned.